Good evening, Doctor. How are you tonight? If you'd like to unmute your mic, it's on the lower right-hand side of your screen.
Okay. So can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, good. So you must be Katerina.
I'm Victoria,
Oh, you're
and
Victoria. Okay.
yes, it's nice to meet you. You are Steve. Is that what I will call you, Steve?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine.
or Doctor. Do I pronounce that she who?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Yes.
Oh, she.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Well, you have started the room early,
Yeah,
and which
I
is
just want to make sure that I know how to make this work. I mean, how to join this. I can come back later if that
um,
would be better.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you now that the room is started. We don't want to close the room, but if you could please tap you. If I'll tell you what we can do. If you can tap on my profile picture,
Yeah.
and you'll see some commands open up a little drop down. It will say make a moderator. And if you could
Yes.
select that and make me a moderator, please.
Okay. Yes, I'm sure.
Okay,
Okay. I
perfect.
agree.
And now I can keep the room open. And if you'd like to just relax and then come back at, at 6 or 5 of 6 or something like that, then that's fine. And I'll just keep we don't want to close the room because it will take it off of the schedule.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
we want our friends to come here, so that's fantastic. You've started the room, and I'm happy to see you. I'm one of the Science Society team, and Katarina will be here um, closer to 6. And so, yeah, if Dr. Shi, if you would like to just relax and come back, that's fine.
Okay.
Or,
I'll
yeah,
come back. I'll come back in about 15 minutes.
that sounds great. You could also just, if you want to either leave or you can mute your mic and
Okay.
just hang out. Either way, I'll be here watching the room, and you can go and relax and enjoy your evening. And then I'll look forward to seeing you back again.
Okay. I'll do that. I'll mute my Mac and I'll be back in about 15 minutes. We'll
All
talk.
right,
All
fantastic. See you then. Thank you.
right. Thank you, Victoria.
hmm So, Michael, I see that you're here. We're going to start the room at 6. Thank you for being here, and you're welcome to wait or, hang out. Either one, but we'll be starting at 6. Hey, Sissy Rahim, how are you doing?
Hi. Hey.
We're just kind of
Actually,
hanging out. Doctor,
I think we should actually close it and start it over
no, no, no,
because
no, 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 no. We're not going to close it because that takes it off of the schedule. So I'm just going to hang out, and Dr. Shi is just relaxing until 6. So yeah, you can come back if you want, but we're definitely not going to close it.
the replays are gonna just have blank until for 20 minutes because you can
Right, but if you
reschedule.
close a room, then it's off of the schedule.
We could just reschedule it.
I think I'm not. If Katarina wants me to do that, I will. But up until yeah, I can. I'm trying to contact her. I won't do anything without her saying to go ahead and do it. But here, I'll make you a mod, and then yeah, and then I'll just. Otherwise, I'll see you at 6.
Okay. All
Thank
right.
you. All right. Bye.
Hi everyone, how are you?
Hello, Katarina. How's your day?
Good, good. How is yours?
Good. Going well. Just getting dinner going.
Do you want me to make moderator really quick? Then I can put you.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. I had my hands full.
Oh, don't worry. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Boing.
Perfect. Thank you.
Welcome, friends. We'll be getting the room started in just a few minutes. Thanks for being here.
Hi everyone, how are you today? We'll start in 3 minutes. Hi Steve, how are you? Can you hear us well?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm back.
Perfect. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Thank you for coming and making the Clubhouse account. Thank you so much.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk to your people.
Thank you. We'll start in around 3 minutes if that's okay with you. We'll...
It's fine with me.
Perfect. How's your day going? Did you have a good day?
It's reasonable.
That's already good. No, lately a reasonable day is a good day.
Well, the good thing is that the weather here, well, the temperature is not as high as yesterday. Yesterday was like a 95.
Oh,
Today, today's high was, I think it's 91 or 80 or 89, something like that. So it's a few degrees cooler. That is good.
yeah, that is good. I'm glad to hear that. In New York, it hasn't been It has been mostly moderate. Today was not too warm. There were a few hot days, but not
Not
like
very hot. Not
outrageous.
okay.
No.
That's good.
Yeah.
You are in the west, right? West coast, along west coast somewhere.
No, I'm in New York City.
Oh, you are Katarina, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Victoria.
Oh,
She's on the West Coast. Yes.
oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I
I'm on
saw
the West Coast. Yeah.
Victoria. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you are in New York City. I was in New York City was early this month. Yeah,
Oh, how did you enjoy that? New York is
it's pretty good.
amazing.
Yes, it's well, I was there a few times, but this time was I think it was pretty interesting place. The weather was good, not hot, no rain. It was pretty reasonable, and so I stayed there for about a week, and it was good experience. Yeah.
You can eat anything there and everything.
Yes, yes, you can eat everything, like different kinds of restaurant, but the specialties what I was before I went there, people say, "Oh, you should go eat some special pizzas and special what is that bagels." But I I don't think yeah I ate some pizzas, but not bagels.
Oh dear. You're going to have to go back and make sure you let me know.
Yeah, I will
I'll
go
direct you.
go next time. I will let you know. See some good places to go to visit.
Yeah. There's also really good Italian gelato places here, and
Yeah, yeah, that's true. We
yeah,
visit we visit a few very good Italian restaurants there.
that's the problem. That's my problem. There's too much food to try all the time.
Yeah,
Every corner you pass, there's like something else to eat.
yeah, yeah.
It's
So
horrible.
you're constantly thinking something else. We're recommended to try something different. Things for that.
Exactly. That's exactly the problem.
Did you
Yeah.
say corn or did I just think you said corn?
Every corner there's something else
Oh,
to try.
corner. Okay. Because
Yeah.
last time I was there, then I discovered this corn on the cob. It was it was Peruvian and it had
Oh
the
yeah, that's
really
so.
good cheese and chili on it. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh,
Oh
had
my
so
God, that is
much.
so good. And then
Corn
there
in
are the
every
food
corner.
trucks and there's so much food all the time. It's
Oh,
delicious.
the little, oh my gosh. Yeah,
I
with those little cookies. There was something in Chinatown that was from a cart and it had a kind of a cast iron skillet that was making little tiny cookies that were like little kind of crispy pancakes and then they would cook them right there while you waited and then put them in a little bag. I mean like 20 of them. Speaking of food trucks.
Well,
That-
Victoria, now I know that you're originally from Portugal because all we do is talk about food. Like when
That's
we're eating,
right.
we're talking about what to eat next.
What to eat next. And we know next time that Steve will have bagels. So it's
So
good. So we can
that's
start the room now.
that's the only citizen test there is. They
Okay,
check how
good.
often you
Well,
talk about
you
food. No, I'm kidding.
you know that I am Portuguese national, so now I've passed the real test.
Yes, yes.
yeah.
So good. Okay, I think we can start. So, welcome everyone to the Science Society, and of course, a special welcome to you, Steve. Thank you so much for coming and making the Clubhouse account, and yeah, to talk to offer your time to talk with us here today. Before we start, I'll introduce you to our audience. Um, they get to know you a little bit better. Um, Dr. Steve Hu did his PhD at Colorado State University, and he's a professor at the Earth and Atmospheric Sciences at the University of Nebraska Lincoln, and he is atmospheric scientist with a joint appointment in the School of Natural Resources and the Department of Earth and Atmospheric Sciences. He received his bachelor degree in meteorology from the Lanzhou University in China, and his master's degree also. And he, over the years, has researched problems in a wide range of subjects, from the tropics to the polar region. And he developed the theory of low frequency oscillations in radiative convective systems, such as the tropical atmosphere, and suggested it as a driving mechanism of the Madden-Julian oscillation. This theory has been tested and remains a cornerstone theory. And he also disclosed the physical processes connecting the Arctic oscillations with the circulation and precipitation anomalies in mid-latitude North America. And in his recent years, his research has focused about learning about mechanisms for precipitation variations in the central US, from intra-seasonal and multi-decadal timescales. And so his research has been mostly focused around climate, and it has been summarized in around 90 refereed journal publications, and he was invited to give presentations in many different venues. And he also enjoys interacting with agriculture producers in person and working with them and understanding where to find relevant information about the weather and climate. And he also enjoys teaching numerous classes. It's we are very honored to have you here. And usually Victoria asks a couple of general questions, if that's okay, before before we give the stage to you to talk about your research. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Katerina.
All right. Thank you, Katarina. That was an exciting list of accomplishments. And it was, so now, excuse me, somebody was coming. Pardon me. Okay. Welcome. In order to carry us into your talk tonight, it would be really nice to be able to ask you a few questions to learn a bit more about you and what has guided you into your research. So my question for you is, if you can reflect on your life and think of what might have been the first time that you noticed that you felt an affinity towards science. And so this could be some time in class or with a relative, or maybe in your childhood during play. But that is my question to you, is when you felt that connection to science. Thank you.
Okay, that's a interesting question. See, I started this science or interest in science pretty late in my life, because in high school and middle school, high school, I was in China, and that at that time it was a chaotic situation, and then schools were either closed, or it's just a place for students to go there to play. It's not much real study going on there. Then after that chaotic period, then the situation changed, and the government decided to reopen universities. Before that time, university was only for some selected few, from people working in agriculture, in industrial factory, in some other government agencies. So then after that period, the government realized that some educations must be continued in order to have the country to develop. So then they started this national exam to find qualified candidates to go to those universities. So I was fortunate at the time to be in that age group to go to take the test and see if I can have the opportunity to go to a university there. So then that's where I started, because if I didn't take the test to try that, then I would have I would must have gone to the countryside to be a farmer, to work with farmers, and that would be the rest of my life, I guess. So then the way, for that matter, to change, to keep myself in the city or in a life that I would prefer to take, I took that test, and I was fortunate that to pass the accepted grade. So I was admitted to a university, Lanzhou University. From there, I started have some exposures to science. So in early years in the university, I started taking, well, of course, taking classes. Then there, I started seeing those some applications of math and physics in solving real life problems. So starting from there, I got into scientific pursuit, and that's the start. That's the start point of my professional career, I guess.
Thank you, Dr. Shi. It's so fascinating to hear that, because I have read of some of this history, and I also remember buying some books for my children that when they were little, from China, and they did praise farmers over other occupations, and it was an interesting situation to notice. And now I understand more of what the climate was, and why it felt somewhat like propaganda. I don't want to say that with disrespect, but it was curious to me. And who would have thought that this would have been revealed in your answer? So thank you so much for sharing this history. And now, from this point, at which you were in the university, and congratulations on
Thank you.
passing your exams and being admitted to uni. Can you take us along your path that brings you up to the current research that you are in today? Maybe a few of the major steps along the way. And thank you.
Yeah, then after 4 years of university there, I was facing the another option or choice for my life. One would be stay at the university, be a teacher, or the other option would be taking another test to go to graduate school. And I didn't like teaching at the time. I felt like teaching is a boring profession, so I went to take an exam to go to graduate school. Then from there, I was lucky, I guess, to pass a grade level when one can be admitted to a foreign university. That was the early year when China was opening its doors, so called, to the outside world. Chinese government was trying to send some people to, actually, before that point, before I came out to this country, to U.S. in 1984, there were a few groups of people sent outside to study here in some U.S. China joint education programs. So I from that process, well, going through that process, I came here to the U.S. and we were, I mean, I was with another person, so we were sent to Colorado State University, and I was sent there, and he was sent to University of Washington. So start working on this advanced degrees, master's degree, and then PhD degree. And after that, yeah, it's a long story, but eventually I wound up to be here at University of Nebraska-Lincoln, and mostly as a job requirement, I started working on climate problems because I was trained as a dynamist, as atmospheric dynamics. But then here, my job has been to help farmers, help local growers to understand and use climate information, weather information to improve their operations. So from there, then with that responsibility, I've been working on understanding climate and weather-related problems, and also as Katerina mentioned earlier, I have I have been working with farmers, ranchers, and other producers in the region to try to build this capability among producers, specifically how they can access or find the right information and use that information correctly in their operation, in the setting of their operation, their geography, their landscape, their production procedure, all those things, and how they can benefit from using the information to improve their lives. So that's the road I took to get this point. So over the years, in the past 20 years or so, my focus has been, as mentioned by Katerina, on regional climate, regional precipitation, specifically how the precipitation varies at different time scales and how accurate the predictions has been changing or improved. So we can use that to persuade users to use that information in their food production or management practices, those things. So this particular subject of Central Asia climate is originally from a collaboration with some Chinese scientists several years back before the pandemic. So I had some postdocs working with me in understanding some Xinjiang's Western China's climate variation, climate change, and also the extent to Central Asia. So after finishing with those postdocs, I still have this sort of interest or have these problems in my mind. So recently, I have a student, my co-author, with this in this article. So he didn't have anything to do at one point. So I said, okay, let's work on this problem, work on this Central Asia climate change in the recent decades and 50 years, actually about 60 years. The reason for that is because there are so many different theories about climate change in Central Asia. A lot of papers are conflicting in the information about precipitation increasing, some precipitation decreasing, and it's very confusing. So I thought, let's do some study and see what is actually going on. So let's make it clear to the community that Central Asia climate has been changing in which way. So this work is a product from that, as we can call it, collaboration with this Chinese student. So we start with this new method that I believe is a new approach to this kind of problems, because people have been, well, researchers have used the temperature, precipitation as the individual elements of weather or climate, and trying to study how they vary individually in the past, whatever, many years. That is I believe that is an insufficient way, or can be a misleading way to study climate using those elements individually or separately. So we started with this sort of climate type, using climate type. Climate type is a combination of temperature and climate, temperature and precipitation. I'm sorry. So see, you live in West Coast, then the temperature there varies within certain range, and precipitation varies within certain range. Like you live in California, and that climate calls Mediterranean climate, and which is similar to the climate in the Mediterranean Sea and Italy, or the countries around that water body. It has specific range of temperature variation or seasonality, and also precipitation amount. It doesn't rain during the summer months. The rain comes during the winter season. So it's not just temperature variation or precipitation variation. It's a combination of these two elements. They have to vary in specific ways to define a climate in a region. So that's where I think that's a new method. The other new aspect of this research is that we use the climate type. Climate type is good in the sense that we use climate type, not some averaging of temperature or precipitation, which have been the major method seems in most of the publications or products from some programs or projects. The average temperature over some regions, areas, to give you this average value, and then show this average value has been increasing or decreasing in a certain period of time. Those are misleading in the sense that averaging actually removes the regional or the local, features of variation of those elements. And those local features of those elements are particularly important for their areas. So when you average them, the averaging method erases all those sort of regional nuances. Then you get this average value, which means really nothing for any, because the mean value can maybe too high for this area and maybe too low for the other area. So you get a number, you can publish a paper, but it doesn't really mean anything to people in particular areas. So we did not want to use that sort of traditional or those popular methods. We use this climate type saying, okay, at this grid point, in this at this use based on the data resolution. The data we used is the ERA5 reanalysis data, which has a resolution of 25 kilometers square. So within this 25 square kilometer, 25 by 25 square kilometer area, the temperature and precipitation vary in this particular way, and defines the climate within this 25 by 25 square kilometer area. So that will be more useful, at least bring specific information to people living in that box. So then I think those are the particularly interesting, I think worthwhile points to make to this in my presentation. Before I get into any results, if those results are of any interest to people in this audience, among the audience.
Dr. Shi, that was amazing context. That was above and beyond what I think we had expected. But this context really helps us to incorporate what we hear in your in your discussion, because the ideas of climate type and the fact that you're interweaving data and recognizing that what the drawback, what the error can be involved in the idea of averaging, it's huge. It's really important to listen to what you're about to say through that lens, understanding that what you were saying about paying attention to regional nuances. And saying, when you said that averaging removes the local features and the elements and how important they are. So I say this for everyone. We really appreciate that you've taken the time to give us that context. And so at this time, you're welcome to move into the body of your discussion. And if you would like to have a Q&A following your discussion, that's up to you, or if you would prefer to have the Q&A driving your discussion and have that in concurrently, then that can also be your choice. And we will take care of moderating the room and bringing people up to ask you questions. So with that, the mic is yours.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I will. I think I will take about 10 minutes to briefly introduce what we found from using those methods. Then I will open the floor for any questions, because I think everybody has his or her interest in or focus in their research. So then, if I just spend take all time to talk about my work, it won't be useful, won't be beneficial to the audience. So I think I will just briefly go over what what we found, and then open the floor for everybody to ask questions. And if I can be of any help, that'd be great. Well, yeah, that said, then I'll just go over the major results from this work. This is a simple work, but I think the significance is pretty they're pretty high. I mean, and I think that the work is interesting in the sense that it's directly affecting people living in that area, Central Asia. And I was interviewed by what is Kyrgyzstan's national TV reporters about why we studied the Central Asia region, because very few research has been paying attention to that remote area, unpopular area. So then, and also, what may be the consequence, or maybe the consequences or um, impact, or what the results may have for decision makers in that region. But anyway, what we found from this, from using the ERA5 reanalysis data, which has, as I said, a spatial resolution of 25 kilometer by 25 kilometer. So the region is divided into boxes or square areas with that resolution, with that size. So then we use the data from 1960 through 2020 and analyze the climate types. What is the type? What was the type? Dominant type in the box area in a specific area. Then how that type may have been changing over those, say, from 60 to now is 60 years. And then we found that well, the change has been pretty dramatic, and the most significant change took place during 1980s. So that's like those 10 years was like a transition period. Before that, the climate was dominant climate at places was in one type pretty much. But over those, say, 60 to late 70s and early 80, then the climate was actually wetter, was becoming slightly wetter, but pretty stable, and warming is not evident. So it's a pretty mild, stable climate condition for those 20 years. And during the 80s, some changes happened pretty dramatically. So after that 10 years, then we got into this more recent, see, 30-year period from 1990 through 2020. These 30 years have been observing pretty dramatic change in that area. So the first thing we noticed is that the desert climate, the area with this particular combination of temperature and precipitation, that defines the climate of desert. It's not just temperature too high, it's not just precipitation too low, it's a particular combination of these two elements defines the desert climate, meaning that if this combination or this weather condition persists there, then the environment will be evolving into the desert. That's called desert climate. it's not just because, oh, no precipitation. Of course, no precipitation will eventually make a place into a desert. But that's extreme. So in our case, we found, okay, originally the distribution of the climate in that region is a semi-arid and semi-arid region. There are several major deserts there, large area desert. We found that then after 1990 and the following 30 years, we have seen this trend of the more boxes, more areas where the climate has been switching towards this climate that is sort of defined by the temperature and precipitation for desert. So that's an indication that the desert climate in that area or that region has been expanding, and the primary direction is northward moving. So those big desert areas in recent 30 years have been expanding their coverage as a result of the climate. So the climate, especially around the northern edge of those major deserts, are changing the way that they are grinding the region into a desert. So that's what we call northward expansion of the desert climate in that area. So that is a major finding. The finding that is not just one area. It has a domino effect in the whole region, because then you have this northern say fringe of the big desert area trending to become desert. Then that area was say like a temperate or dry temperate climate, not desert. So that area is also sort of expanding northward. North of that climate zone was more towards the more wetter, is more of a temperate climate. So that temperate climate now in the recent years, well, through the change, has been losing its sort of coverage. It's becoming the temperate climate has become smaller, shrinking, and then the dry climate invaded from north. So so it's hard to describe here without a graphic, but you can picture this. That is from in the middle of the Central Asia, there was a big desert, and just use that as an example. Over the last 30 years, this northern boundary of this desert has been gradually approaching northward, and by the end of 2020, the boundary has been expanded northward by about 100 to 120 kilometers. So then the north of that was a semi-arid or semi-arid climate zone, the Gobi Desert kind of climate. That part is shifted pushed northward, and I was taking some geographic areas where the climate was wetter. So then you can see these consequences. The desert is expanding northward and pushing the dry climate northward, and as a consequence, some previously wetter climate has been losing its dominance in areas. So the region that's like a desertification. It's not because of deforestation, or not because of some other things, but it is a result of this climate change, climate variation. So then we have figures showing clearly this northward expansion by that scale in the last 30 years. So that is pretty significant, because for people living in those areas where the climate has been sort of switched from a wetter one to this more desert-like one, they have problems they didn't see before. They have no solution before. They didn't face before, so they didn't have a solution. So they have to learn quickly to find a way to solve those problems, particularly for agricultural communities. How do they manage this kind of dry condition, and how do they um, plan? Where do they find water resources to sustain their life, like production and other things? So those are problems people would be facing, um, may have already faced, and they will be facing the same thing. The other point is that that kind of situation is not an anomaly. Like people, we are still talking about a lot of times we are still talking about anomalies. Or this is an anomaly, like California's wildfire. Maybe it's an anomalous dry condition, anomalous windy condition. It may not be an anomaly anymore because of changing of climate. That may be the norm of the climate now and in the future years. So it's not an anomaly. We have to have some policies in place to face that reality. It's not just once every 10 years. It's every year's problem. Every year's problem. So that's the same situation in Central Asia over there. They have to be they have to be realistic that this change is not going to be going away very soon. It's going to be staying there for who knows how long. So that's the major results and some potential consequences of this change. We report in your result in your article.
Yeah, thank you so much for this sharing this very important work with us. And I agree that yeah, we have to change our mindset uh,
Yeah.
and find ways to cope with it. That's like the sad truth now. I know that Killian had a lot of questions, so Killian, please go ahead with your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll limit it to one or two points that maybe the professor would like to talk about. But I know, for example, that maybe one of the last great unknowns in climate science is the effect of clouds. And everything else we have some handle on, but clouds are still pretty much a mystery. And I read a recent article, and I've put it into the chat, talking about they're working towards, I don't think they've gotten there yet, but they're working towards getting the resolution on clouds down to as low as the 1 to 200 meter resolution. And they're thinking that that will resolve this issue of clouds and help us understand whether that's going to be a positive feedback or a negative feedback, because again, that's still unknown. But as far as I know, they're expecting it to be positive overall, but unknown. So I'm assuming that would affect your research to some degree, and assist your research to some great degree, or maybe not. And then the other question I had is, as far as the mechanism, is any of this related to the northward movement of the jet stream? Thank you.
Well, those are good questions. The first question is about cloud. Cloud cloud affects climate, that's for sure. Cloud effects are dependent on cloud elevation, the altitude. Low clouds is very effective in cooling the surface, and doesn't really clouds. They don't do much for for solar radiation, for shortwave radiation. But then high clouds, like cirrus clouds, they are very different. Cirrus clouds are very different. It can increase the surface solar radiation, shortwave radiation, instead of decrease. And also it can heat the upper troposphere. So clouds, as you said, clouds effects are very sophisticated, complex, and we don't have a very good handle on them. And also one of the reasons is, as you said, cloud. We are still working on getting reliable cloud cover information, but that's a big task. Cloud, the only what practical way is to use satellite observations to retrieve cloud, but then cloud thickness, cloud water content, those are still mystery, and it's very difficult to retrieve from satellite observations. So cloud effect on climate would be important for areas where cloud forms frequently. But in Central Asia, which is a desert, a semi-desert, semi-arid region, even during the wet season, cloud, well, the wet season is very much during the winter. The major desert receives rain during their winter season. Summer is too dry to have any kind of precipitation. So during the winter season, even clouds present is difficult to have any impact on, say, the local climate. The climate, well, cloud is part of the climate. So if temperature is warmer and precipitation is scarce, then the cloud would be fewer. We would expect to have fewer clouds. So cloud effect will be weaker, or is weakened. So in our study, we did not analyze any cloud effect or any clouds. The possible effect of cloud on the result outcome of your study, I would say, is pretty minimal because of as I said, the climate is a dry type of climate. Cloud formation, cloud life would be short, and the impact would be very small. And also, the region is way in the it's. So that is my understanding for cloud effect in our studies here. The second suggestion is the possible jet stream, if northward movement of jet stream may affect this. That could be that could have some impact. But then the first question I would try to answer in this problem would be: has jet stream pushed northward in recent decades? Is that true? The mean latitude of say polar jet has been shifted northward by how many degrees? That has to be I need to confirm that before I can do any before I can decide to do any analysis on how jet stream shift. But you are right that large scale circulation is the primary causal mechanism for this change, because when we analyze this situation, we did some analysis of, like a very preliminary analysis of how large scale circulation may be playing a role in this northward expansion of desert climate in that region. The thing is that you have in desert, you need to have more substance, the downward motion. So then during the summertime, as you said, if the jet stream shifts further north, then you leave south side of the jet stream with higher pressure and more downward motion. So enhancing the desert climate, suppressing precipitation, making the temperature warmer. So those are all going to contribute into desert climate. We discussed this in the paper. It's saying that we discussed this based on using climate type change. The change of those types of climate actually resulted in higher gradient of the temperature between north and south, the meridional temperature gradient in that region. And that temperature gradient is going to enhance the thermal wind. So then the thermal wind is what? It's just a variation of wind direction over height. So that change is actually suggesting that there is an increase of anticyclonic circulation over the region where the desert climate is expanding. So in that regard, you are correct that there is an indication that the jet stream may have been sort of pushed northward, leaving the south under the control of anticyclonic circulation that may have sustained this climate in those areas. But
Thank you
then,
so much. Oh, sorry.
yeah, but then that's just our preliminary or sort of what is some very preliminary results, and we need to do more to verify that assumption or speculation to really not pinpoint, but really understand the cause. But definitely the cause in general is the circulation, and how the circulation changes. It could be carbon dioxide, carbon greenhouse gases, or that concentration change the global distribution of energy and water, and cause this shift of jet stream northward, and then has this intensification of anticyclonic circulation at those latitudes, and then causes change of climate. So, but then, as I said, we need more study to confirm that, to validate that that speculation, I guess.
Thank you, Doctor. That was really excellent response. Very detailed. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Does anyone else have questions? Please flash your microphones, raise your hands, or write questions in the chat. Yeah, well, if not, I'll ask questions. So, for your broader research, you say that you in the introduction, you said that you also discussed with farmers or producers how to use the data to basically adapt their production. Like, do you also have a work in progress that kind of helps producers in these regions and how they can cope with that in the future? Is there a way to cope? Is it hopeless? I don't know. Are you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I understand your question or your concern there. Yes, it would be great if there is any program that can engage researchers here with producers over there, um, so that science can really help people to deal with real problems and to cope with the change, and then create policies that will work to benefit them. But that is a really far-fetched um, um, is a dream that's not is difficult to be realized, to make to be true. And even here, well, there is another problem. Well, I think there is a reason for that not to be happening easily, because like even in the U.S. here, this is like a very technologically advanced society, and even in this situation, how many farmers are using weather information? 10%. That's probably a very high percentage. So very few farmers actually pay attention to weather information, and even fewer actually use any information in their production planning. So I had some projects funded by NOAA to study local farmers about their decision behavior or decision making psychology regarding to weather information. Our findings. I was working with some psychologists and social scientists. The findings are showing that farmers are different. Well, there are reasons for them to be that way, to be sort of foreign to all the alienize themselves to this weather stuff or whatever NOAA, NASA are providing, because the first thing is that those products predictions are untested, or you can see our prediction has been increasing its accuracy, but in which area and in what regard you measure your in which form you measure your accuracy, and what is the persistency, reliability of that accuracy. Accuracy is for like a seasonal forecast or for daily forecast. For what is exactly the accuracy for? So those are the concerns. There are many more bothering farmers to actually, so that they don't have the trust. The trust is the key. When they don't have the trust, then they don't pay attention to those things. And that's one thing. The other thing is, other related problem is weather forecast is inaccurate. And so if you encourage people to use, you say, okay, do this, do that. Like a lot of those expert systems would tell people in the old days, do that, do this, and do this, do that, and then you can increase your profitability by how many percent, or whatever, giving them. But then if the accuracy fails, then you don't have those expected anticipated benefits. The farmer would be facing losses. Then at that time, nobody will come to share that loss, compensate, not compensate the farmers for the losses. So farmers would be the only one left there to take care of those mess and losses. So these are the major issues, practical issues that prevent farmers from using any kind of information. So great effort has been put in place to do this. Now USDA is playing a big part in doing this, but I think some of the programs miss the fundamental issue, that is the trust. How do you build farmers' trust? How do you build users' trust with your products? That's the key. So there is a big, the idealized picture is perfect, but then how do you get there? How many practical hurdles you have to go over? How can you trust? How can you build the trust among people you want them to use your products? That's the key. So it's a difficult thing. So back to your question, even in this country, we cannot engage science with producers that easily. It would be even more difficult for us to go there to a foreign place to tell foreign people that, hey, you do this, you can improve your production, you improve your life. I don't think they will listen. So that's the practical problems. There is a long way to go to build the trust among users of weather information, climate information. Before that happens, I think the climate research, I don't know. This is hard. This is a very difficult topic. Before we can build trust of users with the product we try to persuade them to use, there is little hope that I'm a little pessimistic maybe through those projects I had in the past years. There would be very very little hope that people would use information in their actual decision making. But of course, there are ways that we need more government support, funding sources to. But then I don't know. There are people up there. They don't believe this would happen either. So they won't. So that's why there is very limited funding for doing this kind of research.
Yeah, so
Unfortunately, I guess, yeah.
I guess maybe the way would be to fund farmers in the beginning when they follow these these programs or predictions, and if they then get more successful, then I guess other people would follow, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, yes,
So,
that's true. That's true. We need some long range programs to work with farmers year over year, so that we go through some success, through some failures, and to find ways to uh, improve predictions. In the meanwhile, increase farmers' understanding of those predictions and their limitations, and so they develop some kind of mitigation or plan B or mitigation strategies to deal with any possible um, this failures from those predictions. So they will still be benefiting from using the information. I mean, using the information certainly scientifically will benefit people, because what farmers are doing now is based on the past. They don't look at the future. Last year I did fine. I'm going to do the same this year. So that's fine. That's reasonable because of their financial situation. You switch from one production to another, it'll cost you extra money, more investment. And if you don't know what the weather will be this year, how different the weather this year will be from the previous year, then your investment to switch this operation is not going to be paid off. You're going to lose more money. So rather than doing that, you just follow what you did last year and assume that climate is going to be steady. That's reasonable assumption. Then you just go that way. So that's why people say it takes a major disastrous event to make farmers to change their behavior. That's the reason, because they don't change unless something really struck them very hard. They will think, oh no, we have to do something else. But so forecast will help them to make this transition little by little, year after year, to get through these variations of climate and sort of improve their production. But that, as you said, will take a long range investment, long range commitment to to allow researchers work with the farmer to make that happen, to build the trust, build their capability, skills to use information and make a better life. I think
yeah.
our
So,
time is up. Sorry.
yeah, I think. Do you think education, maybe not here in the U.S., but in other countries, education outreach to teach how predictions work, how to analyze data for the younger, maybe for the younger people would maybe make them trust more, because they would maybe become participants in research, feel like they are participants in the research project, and instead of the test um, models.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true. We need to have we need to invest. Government need to invest to involve in or invest in young future generations to engage them in this new technology or new information uh, in all countries. Poor country, rich country, poor country still they have they can access to they still produce weather forecast and climate information. They still release those things, those products. So build some develop programs, encourage young generations to use them, to study them, to learn them, and learn how to use them in their practice, whatever practice, maybe even like an industrial operation, anything that will be benefit from can be benefit from knowing from integrating weather information in their operations those should be encouraged, so that access access and evaluate and use the information becomes a habit, becomes a natural habit for future generations. Well, in that case, we have a hope to have more use, or more effective use, correct use of weather information in the future. And then as predictions are certainly improving, even though slowly, but still improving. So over time, I hope if that is the case, I mean, it is the case. More students, more young farmers are enrolled in universities, and they are learning all different things, technology, and management, and finances, and weather information. So well, yeah, I hope that in not long future, they will return. But the problem is, are they going to return to farm business? That's another question. But when they return, they will bring a totally new paradigm to farming business, and that would be great.
Yeah, I don't know if the initiative is good. Maybe they'll return, but if you go into data science anywhere else,
Yeah,
probably less hard work and more money.
yeah, yeah,
So that's, but I think I'm saying maybe in other countries because I don't know, in Portugal, and and I see also where I'm from and other countries, just being educated, it's a value of itself and kind of prestigious by itself, even if you then go back and do a simple job. I'm not sure how it is in these regions that we are, the paper is about. So I kind of have hope that, yeah, just having this mindset of that being educated by itself is a value, that it would kind of contribute to people being more engaged in these in these programs. But first we would need government support to have these programs, right? So
yeah,
that
yeah.
would be the
But
first step.
yes, education is a key to the door of future, the bright future. It's a rich future. Yeah, we need education in any ways to improve. By education is a way, is a key to the door to improve people's life, I guess, or is a key to improve people's life. That's for sure. Um, but this country is yeah, has more resources to do that. Yeah, in other countries like this country, the region I studied in that project may not have that kind of resources to invest. So it will take a longer time for people to get sufficient education, or yeah, it takes time. That's why this paper was sort of has excited some uh, news media there to try to remind the government about importance of education, and also to use the information to to revise or improve policies to um, sort of to educate people to deal with the changing situation and to sustain their life. So it's in those countries this not yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. Like even in China, this country is said to be rich. I don't know, but the geographic setting there is is making things uh, difficult in the sense that the land is divided into small pieces, small patches, and different families or different groups of people operate on those patches. So it's hard to make some decision like, okay, you guys use it. You guys should use this information to do this. You should use the information to do that. So it's difficult to do that. Like here, but that's in comparison to this country. Here, it's like organized operation. The lands are sort of well made in a way. So farmers are farming over large areas in with good equipment, farming equipment. So things will be much easier here. Even in this situation, it has been difficult to persuade farmers to use the information. They have a lot of advanced technologies like GPS and all those sensors on their tractors, they still don't use much of modern information or weather information. So it's even harder. It will take a longer time for those poor countries or countries rich, but their lands are such that it's hard to use. They're just divided into patches in different places. You go to South Korea, some patches, some farmland, not land, some strips in between streets are are planted with rice or some other crops. It's hard to do. Of course, those are like a hobby farmers, I guess. But it's hard to use in those countries. It's hard to use weather information to improve their farming because they're not farming in some large scale farms. So, yeah, the point is there are so many factors we have to consider before we can make a program to effectively use to allow to effectively carry out the plan to in order to improve people's usage of some useful information and to make make more profit and improve their life. I guess I've talked too much. It's over time.
Oh, don't worry. Do you still have a little bit of time? I saw that David joined, Mark, and then Killian, I think, has a question. Do you still have a little bit more time, or do you need to leave as it's getting too late?
Yeah, Mark, you have a question.
Yeah, so I have a theory that the way we do agriculture on mass scales is the reason we are making these deserts bigger. We need to stop tilling the soil, changing the way that we are doing agriculture, because this is what is causing a lot of environmental damage. If you
Yes.
practice regenerative farming, it actually brings back rainfall, cuts wind. There are several instances that show this. And why isn't this sweeping all over the world?
So you're saying that we should change the way we farm instead of um, large scale farming that changes land cover over thousands of acres. We should do small scale farms. Well, I agree with you that farming changes land cover, and changing of land cover will change the surface energy water balance, and that can cause change of local climate, regional climate. We actually published a paper in 2018 in the Journal of Climate showing that the 1930s Dust Bowl drought could have could be partially caused by the cultivation during the westward migration of farmers. So they say during in the 20s, a lot of lands in the central U.S. were cultivated from native grass to corn, those things. Then the change of the land cover from native grass, which is a buffer actually for local water evaporation process to preserve moisture in soil, to, as you said, to keep the climate, local climate. Now when you take them out, then you plant the short root crops, then the surface water balance and energy balance would be changed completely. So that is, we analyze that that could be a very important factor causing the change of the circulation in the central and southern Great Plains, and eventually lead to the extension, prolonged, and enhanced drought in this early Dust Bowl drought. So that is an example showing that yes, human activities by changing land cover, that's one of them. Another would be releasing the greenhouse gases, or definitely definitely cause changes of the environment, climate, and other environmental aspects. So, but then, I mean, then that becomes a political or political problem. How can we stop? How can we change this? In this country, there is a tendency that farmers are selling their lands to corporate uh, farming business. So then the business is going to combine more lands into huge farms, and then it'll be easy to operate easy to operate to reduce cost in productions. So then that is going to, as you said, going to change the land cover over a much larger scale. How is that going to affect the local climate? We don't know, and that is there's a lot of political way. Well, I'm not
I,
familiar with this, but then there are a lot of factors or reasons or parties in this process. We have to, I mean, they will have to agree on certain things or understand something, and they agree on certain things in order to prevent some bad things from happening, or whatever things from happening. So that is beyond what we can talk about here.
I wanted to respond now just because it doubles back on what Mark said directly. And Doctor, you said that there's this cost to transitioning all these other things, but what Mark was pointing out is if you transition from any kind of industrial type farming, chemical based farming, etc., large scale farming, to regenerative farming, you don't incur those costs. You actually save money almost immediately, if not immediately. Like in the first year, you'll save money because all those input costs are gone, for example. And that's a huge part of most farmers' costs is just those chemicals, etc. Paying for water. If you do good regenerative farming, you're gonna greatly reduce your water use, etc. So you very quickly are positive money wise, and if there's any fall off in production, that is almost immediately balanced by increasing nutrition of what is grown, and so you don't even lose anything food wise. And in fact, within a couple of years, you're in the black as far as producing as much food as before, and it's more nutritious by maybe 30-40%, something along those range, or more. So the idea that farmers have to go through this horrible crunch of and angst about losing everything for 3 or 4 or 5 years is simply not true if they're guided well and make it and transition to regenerative farming. That's the trick, is if you're changing from one mechanistic chemical based system to another mechanistic chemical based system, one, you're wasting your time, and two, yeah, there would be a big cost involved. But and in terms of, this is one of those areas where technology is great and wonderful and very useful, but it's actually not needed, because the more that you build your soil, this is all about soil, it's not about anything else. Climate and all those things are important, but if you don't get the soil right, none of the rest matters. And if you do get the soil right, it ameliorates a huge percentage of all those other issues. So if you're building carbon into your soil, building microbial life in your soils, you're going to retain water, you're going to build the ability of the soil to grow food, you're going to be able to grow more food. Well, in a desert region, you could massively increase how much you grow. In an area that already has soil carbon in it, um, you wouldn't see as much of a change, and it would be more like coming back to the level of the growth with the chemical ag. So just to ease everyone's mind, no, we can transition to regenerative farming and save money almost immediately and increase nutrition almost immediately, increase food supply almost immediately. So this really, as you said, it truly is more of a political issue than anything else. And it's we have to educate people to understand that the simplicity of this is the key to it. And it is simple, not easy always. If you're trying to do a 400-acre farm regeneratively, you can't do that regeneratively, really, in what I would call regenerative, but you can certainly do the 3 or 4 or 5 most common things associated with regenerative farming, which would have a good portion of the positive effects and allow that transition to happen. So even large scale farmers in one season can transition behaviorally, and within 1 to 2, 3 seasons will absolutely be producing better food, maybe as much food, and be making more money. So Richard Archuleta with the USDA has been a great example of helping mainstream farmers do this kind of thing, not just people like me that are permaculturalists and want to see the whole world become simpler. I just wanted to throw that out there because the idea that it's this massive sacrifice is only if you're doing it poorly. Thank you.
Yeah, that is intriguing. I don't know details about that type of farming, but my understanding is that farmers have been, or our extension, I have extension appointment here, our extension has been actually saying or has been working with farmers to do no-till, no-till and rotation and some cover crops and some, all those things are actually aiming at minimum disturbance to soil, and disturbance to soil carbon, disturbance to soil water. So, but then you cannot do that. You cannot repeat the same process over and over without at one point to plow the soil, to change it, to do some cultivation or something, because the soil is getting packed. And water wise, you have to, every crop will use water. So at places like here, if you want to grow corn, if you grow corn in the middle or central or western part of the state, you don't have enough water to maturity. So you have to add water. You have to add water. Then when you add water, then that's cost. And how do you do that? And then that process is going to make the soil packed, and at some point in the future, you will have to act on or do something to change that situation and restart from beginning. So there are some, yeah, it's an ideal model for farming with the maximum disturbance to soil, maximum reduction to say chemicals and energy use. That's ideal. That's great. But then, well, I
So,
don't know. As I said, I don't know that detail. But my understanding from my experience with extension is at some point that system will have to be revived, and
yeah,
that,
no,
yeah.
Doctor, I'm sorry, that's just incorrect. If that's what is happening, then like I said, they're doing it poorly, because that if you're doing regenerative farming well, you will only be adding more and more carbon to the soil, which will only make it more and more porous, et cetera, et cetera. You're using plant roots to get down through 2 meters of the soil, not just the top 12 inches, for example. So if that's happening, it's because people are taking these 2 or 3, as I said, taking these 2 or 3 or 4 big ideas that are easy to do and calling it regenerative farming. That's not regenerative farming. That's like the baby steps, but the most obvious and simplest changes to make with regenerative farming. But it's a system approach. That's not systemic. It's borrowing a couple techniques, and I guarantee you, in any case where you would show me where the soil is getting compacted with regenerative approaches, it's because there's something missing what they're doing. They're doing something that is disrupting the regenerative process. That's it. Just simply doesn't work that way. You don't compact soil by using regenerative systems. It simply doesn't happen.
Well,
Can
that's
I?
good.
I'm sorry.
That's good to know. Yeah, if you have something to for us to use, that'd be great. If you can send me something, then I can talk to our extensions and see what we missed, and then yeah, maybe we can share that with farmers, with some programs, local programs, see how this new model may work, or how to improve this conservation practice to make more money from use less resources. That'd be great. That'd be great ideal model situation. Yeah, if that works, that'd be wonderful.
Well, I think Mark is a farmer and is in the U.S., so he might be the person for you to talk to, because I'm in Korea and I don't have a farm right now, but I
Okay.
think Mark
I'm
does.
in Brazil. I'm in
Oops,
Brazil.
sorry.
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay.
Yes, we can make some kind of contact if you like. And there are people all over that understand these things,
Yeah,
and
that'd be
that
great.
can help.
That'd be great. Yeah, if you can send me some readings, some website information, and I'd be happy to read them and see what they are doing, and how we may learn from those. Yeah, it'd be great. Thank you.
If I might be able to ask a question to take us back to a point you brought up just a few moments before the really, really great insights that Killian and the permaculture stuff that he teaches us here. I mean, thanks, Killian. Thanks for bringing that up. I wanted to ask, kind of pivot back to something with regards to Doctor. You mentioned, I guess that there's an increase in the corporate acquisition of, I guess, rural farms and of
Yeah,
farmers. And so here, I'm here in the U.S., but I spent decades in California, and I grew up in Las Vegas. So I get I've been telling my friends about Lake Mead for actually over a decade. That's just kind of that's a real estate bubble that's going to burst by, by nature at some point. And
yeah,
then the drought in California is what got me to really pack up and move up to the Seattle area where I'm at. And then we've had, as you may have heard, the heat dome spike and its effect on crops. And I just wanted to kind of get back to this idea. The word I'm kind of using more is just the word resilience.
yeah,
The financial resilience, the food resilience, the systems we need are going to need to be resilient. And when you bring up corporate farming, that was kind of the essence of my question is, to keep the populace from revolting, quite frankly, not just in China, but anywhere, right? I think
yeah,
what's getting popularized now is we're three meals from kind of anarchy anywhere around the world because of the just how just the food systems and the food distribution and production systems around the world are just that's the state of them, I guess. And so I just want to kind of ask again, or kind of take it back to the to in the regions you've studied, what are some insights you can share with regards to the political and the corporate power, you know, because that's kind of, at some point the power it's going to have to be used to help maintain a steady supply of food, so any kind of thoughts around that, would it would be great if you don't mind sharing, or whatever. But thank you so much for coming into Clubhouse and sharing your study and things like that. It's really appreciated by everybody.
yeah. Thank you. If I could say anything about this resilience, or to sustain or make the resilience of the food production system in any place, that would be, well, what is resilience? Well, in my mind, resilience is in this real world is a it's like a food production, water resources, all the resilience of all those resources systems is what is climate resilience, is how this system how these systems have to be managed in the changing, or in sync with the changing climate. so that you can constantly, you can continuously produce in any kind of climate coming to you. That's a resilience. Otherwise, what we're talking about resilience is just a word, doesn't really have any practical meaning. The meaning here for these production systems is about dealing with the climate. Climate is changing, so we have policies, we have plans to deal with that change, to take advantage of that change, so that we can keep producing, and keep the water resources in place sufficient enough for future generations. That's the resilience. And how do we do that? How can we do that? That will be, as I said, will require first understanding what the climate is or what the environment condition will be. Like the Lake Mead situation, we should have probably known or expected this situation 10 years ago. So now we would be, well, we would have probably, hopefully, we would have been planned, or would have some resources, or would have ways to, or the best situation scenario would be, we won't make the situation, we won't be in this situation, we won't allow this to happen. So, but then we didn't plan this. So then the thing is that, as I said, the first would be knowing what is ahead of us. That's a prediction of research, education. And the next thing would be policy, that's politics. How the government, how the management bodies would decide to respond, would decide what is important in their on their agenda, so that they would react. They are not react, but proactive, I would say, to make policies or change policies, so that they can put the knowledge in the system and prepare the system to be ready to take on any kind of future conditions and sustain production, sustain resources. But in the region where we did our study, we didn't go there. We just used the data there. When I was talking to this TV reporter like yesterday, she was saying, well, yes, government is paying attention to this problem, but then what kind of attention, what kind of resources government is willing to put to give to researchers or research institution, whatever, government arms to prepare people for, for prepare people for future changes or conditions. So that's a big problem. Even in this country, we have been now just getting into this resilience problem. You heard this, a lot of centers are building, sort of are built to do this like ecosystem resilience or some food production resilience. I mean, those are, I'm not sure what they are doing, but my understanding is that they are just, they miss the point. What is the resilience? They're trying to do some kind of genetic stuff or some kind of, yes, those are important, but then what is the first order business is what is the future look like? And then in different kind of scenarios, we don't know exactly, but we have scenarios based on our understanding of the system. Then in different scenarios, what we would respond, what would be the response will help us to have this resilience in food production, in resources availability, all those things. So the government now, the government is definitely paying attention to this. That's a good thing. But then, how do we do that? That's a difficult question to answer, because well, we all view this problem differently from different perspectives, and we have our own sort of preference to solve this problem, or we have our own views or our own interpretation of this problem. So that's where this problem comes, because we all taking the problem in different directions, and it's not necessarily a good thing. If government doesn't give you a direction to go, that's a good thing. So I'm not sure. This is the open-end question. Not open-end question. This is just a question that just the rising in the horizon. We are dealing with this, and how to deal with this. What government plays role? What role government plays? What role research community or extension community or the farming, the actual society will play. Those are all open questions. It's not known at this point. You put this in a very good phrase, and I think I don't think that I don't know whether this acquisition of individual farmers by corp businesses would be a good thing for this for preparing the society to deal with that situation, to face that situation. Some people say that's a good thing because in corporate business, they have they are more sort of educated. I don't know whether they're educated, but they have this central decision making unit or unit, so they can make a decision for thousands of acres of land rather than this. You have individual farmers, each takes about a few thousand acres. You have to persuade individual farmers to do certain things in order to reach some goal. And so, but then some others are saying, no, that acquisition is a bad deal. I mean, these are all different opinions at this point. It's hard to say what is right, what is wrong, what is best for what scenario, because we don't know the scenario. What we don't know what are the possible scenarios would likely to be emerging in the future. So that's a difficult question.
You know, so yeah, no, I really thank you so much. I just wanted to answer that just by looking at the last few decades of how we have faltered substantially, and it has to do with on the form of capitalism. I'll do it in our context, in the U.S. context. Our form of capitalism decades ago was more of a multi-stakeholder form, and within the need to have resilience is a multivariate optimization problem is how I would frame that. So, but what's happened in what's really just created so many problems here is just a unilateral optimization on short-term profits. So that's what's created so many problems over here.
Yeah,
So
yes.
it'll be great to see how these massive extremes, right? The droughts, the heat spikes, the flood spikes, as they start to really create some interruptions and harvest failures. And with respect, Killian, even if you're farming with permaculture, I mean, we're heading into some really rough waters out here. So, but that's kind of the point with regards to resilience, to being a multivariate optimization, and just taking it from those of us who've really been beaten up by the rise of corporate farming. It's just to the degree that those who rise to power can just keep in mind and try to optimize the multivariate problem that it is. That's how I just kind of catch it without getting into too many details.
Yeah, I would just like to say very quickly that that when you say to a permaculturalist that with all due respect, permaculture, blah blah blah, you've just told me you don't really fully understand permaculture because it is exactly a design process. I don't know where people don't I don't know why people don't get that. It is a full system design process. So we don't leave anything out. We don't forget anything. We don't set anything aside. We look at the entire system tabula rasa anytime we start doing anything. So it is fully aware system. It is a fully prepared system for dealing with the systemics, and that's why it's powerful, because that's exactly what we do, is what you two are saying. Look at the whole system, deal with the whole system, design to the whole system. That's exactly what we do.
Thank you. Thank you for correcting me, Killian. I really appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, that's a good point.
Well, I wanted to say, Doctor, I just wanted to reinforce something you just said, because you rarely hear it. Back in 2009, 2010, I was in Detroit, Michigan, and they were beginning their process of doing like a new 10-year plan or something like that. I forget how many years it was, 10 or 20, I forget. And all the activists in town were trying to have an impact on this, and we're all running around doing this, that, and the other. And one of the things that became clear to me is a 10 to 20 year plan for any city or any size political entity at this point and that this was 10, this is 12 years ago, with the rapidity of that with climate change, how fast it's happening, how rapidly ecosystem is being destroyed, it just seemed obvious to me that we need to do what is called backcasting, which is what you just described. You didn't call it that, but that's exactly what you're talking about, is looking forward to the future and trying to guess as best you can, make your educated guess, and that's all it is, of course, about what it's going to be like, and pick a number, in 2100, 2150, whatever number works for your process, and then backcast from there, and that tells you where you need to go, and that makes it a lot easier to start from where you are to work through the transition to getting to that point. But I absolutely agree with you that it's vital to what we're doing, absolutely vital.
Yeah, that's something we want to find, say, some kind of guideline for us to plan. Otherwise, we don't. What are we planning for? That's just an aimless process. It's just not going to be useful, beneficial. So we have at least some. That's why there is this what is government, some climate panel thing. What is that? What is this? Let's see. I forgot this phrase or the acronym for that thing. It has research units from major countries all over the world to run their climate models for the next 100 years.
Oh, the
models,
the
yeah,
IPCC?
IPCC. Thank you for reminding me. That phrase just didn't come to my mind for some reason. Yeah, so that is why that was important many years ago, but now is still, I think people still pay attention to that. It's because it gave us the best for scientific educated guess of what the future would be like, and so that gave us some guidance, at least some kind of guidance, some direction where we may want to plan for. So that's the reason for that organization being there all these years, and also supported by governments all over the world. So that is, but again, the forecasts are never being accurate, but still it's a direction. It's a direction where this is going to be in the best of our current understanding, and then so that should have some value for us to use in preparation or preparedness for our future. So yeah, so that's the reason why government has invest here, or all major countries in the world. Governments there invest heavily on, I mean, in this kind of business, forecasting, improving models to forecast future, because that's what we are going to rely on to make policies, to make some decisions in short term to prepare ourselves and ready to deal with future conditions. Well, I really appreciate your patience with me and your participation in this discussion. I think it's very beneficial to me as well to know from discussions with you, and it's something I didn't know you mentioned to me, and it's very good. It's very great experience.
Oh, thank you so much, Steve. Yes, thank you for spending so much time with us, and answering all of our questions and listening to our ideas. And it has been a great discussion. Thank you so much. And
Yeah, thank
maybe
you.
you'll be back in the future again with maybe some update research or some other things you would like to share with us maybe in the future. Would be wonderful.
Yes, I'll be visiting your clubhouse more often to try to find some time to hear your the other participants talks and see. I'm interested in learning new things,
Oh, wonderful.
especially the subjects the others brought up during the discussion. Those are interesting to me. Somewhat new to me too. Yeah.
Yeah, we cover a lot of different science topics. You know, for everything from quantum physics till behavior and neuroscience,
Okay.
climate and engineering. So, yeah, you're already a wonderful moderator because that leads us to me telling
Great.
everyone what is coming next. If you're okay with that, tomorrow we have a room with Dr. Kagan. He looks at gene mutations across species and
Oh,
is shedding light on aging, how aging works, and how different species age. And we can learn hopefully a lot from that. Yeah, that is tomorrow. And then next week we have another exciting week where we discuss evolution of cooperation, molecular robots, and how um, they work cooperatively in swarms and how to get that to work. Then Dr. Spontak will talk about self-disinfecting anionic polymers, his research, and another two climate-related rooms, how helium levels are rising as a byproduct of fossil fuel and or what we don't know yet what it means, but hopefully Dr. Bierner can tell you a lot more about it or tell us all a lot more about it. And we'll have Dr. England coming talking about Atlantic Ocean currents and how they are slowing down. So yeah, it will be another exciting week. And thank you so much, Steve, for coming. We really appreciate the room was really great and interesting discussion. And enjoy the rest of your week. And yeah, thank you everyone for coming.
thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Katerina, for running such a great room, and Doctor, for your explanations are really, really excellent, very, very detailed and clear. That's really beautiful, and for being open-minded. I run into PhDs all the time who are a little less so, and it's frustrating. And the links that I put in the chat, I also sent to you directly. I don't know if you know how to access those yet. And I wanted to invite you to explore some of the systemics of all this. I'm having a conversation tomorrow with Steve Keen in a Q&A, who's a professor of economics and has written books on debunking economics, and he's created a model for what is called a steady state economy, which you might be interested in.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll be talking to him tomorrow, so if you have time or the inclination, you're more than welcome to come, and be great
All
to
right.
have you.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
similarly, Doctor Who, I'm going to be at some point holding rooms on soil restoration and the soil microbiome and biofertilizers, and also regenerative eco villages, including in the desert. So I think this is like right up your alley. So
Yeah.
if you look at my profile, you can find a club called Critical Biomass, which is about those topics. And I would invite you to join so that you'll get notifications about those.
That's great. Let me ask you one thing. Because I don't use my phone often, could you please send me an email and let me know your your programs and also upcoming events. I will try to participate as much as I can. My email address is qihu@unl.edu.
Yeah,
QIHU@UNL. Great.
.edu, yes, yeah.
yeah, and yeah, if you forget the email, you can always also reach out to me and I can connect you. So be happy to do so. Great, wonderful. I'm so happy. New collaborations, new connections. That's wonderful. I hope you enjoyed it, Steve, and thank you so much. Okay, we'll close the room in 3, 2, 1. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Katerina. Bye, everyone.